listening to the Zero to Travel podcast, where we explore exciting travel-based work, lifestyle, and business opportunities, helping you to achieve your wildest travel dreams. And now your host, world wanderer and travel junkie, Jason Moore.
Hey, it's Jason here with ZeroToTravel.com. Welcome to the show, my friend. Thanks for hanging out, letting me bring a little travel into your ears today. This is the show to help you travel the world on your terms, to fill your life with as much travel as you desire, no matter what your situation or experience. Don't forget, we have a newsletter over at ZeroToTravel.com/newsletter. It's free. You can sign up over there. Today's episode, I wanted to record just a quick introduction for you, and the reason why, well, a few reasons why I pulled this out of the archives now. We're looking at the top 11 ways to rock your next music festival experience. And if you're like me, perhaps you're somebody who is excited about traveling for a concert or going to a multi-day music festival, whether you've done it before or maybe it's something you're considering doing. These are 11 timeless tips from a couple true experts. Yes, they are two of my best friends, Jason and Kelly Law. But the reason why they're featured is because they are not just casual fans who go to a lot of music festivals, although they do that, and I couldn't even tell you how many they've been to. They do this professionally over at FestyGoNuts.com. They actually work with music festivals. Their job is to travel around and go to music festivals, and they've been doing it for many, many years. And they have some incredible tips. This is an interview I recorded with them in person when I was visiting Colorado at one point some years ago. But again, the tips in here are timeless, and I thought this is a great time to pull it out as we go into the summer season. I know there are some people out there planning on attending some music festivals, perhaps some concerts. I know I'm one of them, and a lot of value in this one. So I hope you enjoy it. You can stick around on the back end. I will leave you with a quote. For now, please enjoy this conversation with Jason and Kelly and get ready to have an incredible music festival experience at your first or next festival. Thanks for listening.
I'm sitting here in the living room of two of my favorite people on the planet who I've known for now a combined 40 years. They're the founders of the website FestyGoNuts.com, where they're all about the music, the culture, and the adventure. We're talking about music festivals and travel today, two of our favorite topics, all of our favorite topics collectively. Jason and Kelly Law. Been waiting for a long time to say this. Welcome to the Zero to Travel podcast, my friends.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Exciting to be here.
And you guys certainly walk the walk. I mean, we're actually going to a show tonight over at the Fox Theater in Boulder, Colorado, right? Who are we seeing?
We're going to see one of our favorite bands, Leftover Salmon. And Fox Theater is celebrating their 25th anniversary here in Boulder. So a lot of the bands that got their start there are going to get to play there this month. So it's pretty exciting for everyone.
Nice. So you guys are and have been my go-to for music festival advice. Anything that's related to actually music as well. I mean, you've gotten some of my favorite bands on my radar, and you know, we're always like kind of joking about music. Jason and I grew up, well, maybe we should talk about our musical background a little bit first, so we can give some context to this conversation.
Do your viewers and our listeners, do your listeners know the your mystique as your former self?
My mysterious musical background with my, I would say, my musical soulmate and partner over here, Jason. What did we do? Some people know this because I've talked about it on the show, but it's been a while.
Well, this is not just World Wanderer Jason Moore sitting over here. This is also the Jester. We had a rap band in high school.
Yeah.
And dare I say, we were good.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Kelly?
I haven't heard you in your younger years. Some old recordings have surfaced, but surprisingly, for two very white boys, yes.
Well, we were jamming out till 3 a.m. the other night because you guys have this gorgeous piano in your living room, and I'm looking at a mandolin and a couple guitars. Like, we're literally surrounded by instruments. You guys surround yourself with music in your lives, and I mean, we had a blast jamming out, and we started rapping some of our old lyrics. I think that somehow they came from the depths of our memories and our souls out. I don't know if it sounded good because it was 3 a.m, but to us it did.
Well,
That's all that matters.
it never ceases to amaze me that, I can't remember people's phone numbers. I'd go to the grocery store, don't remember what I'm there for. Yeah, I remember lyrics that we jotted on the back of a notebook in Spanish class. I'm not going to say how many years ago.
Yeah. And Jason still has some of those notebooks in the basement. I mean, I saw a bag. He's like, hey, remember this bag? I'm like, dude, you had that bag in like 9th grade. How do you still have that bag? You still have it. Well, anyway, since we're talking about music, I think travel and music are certainly things that go hand in hand in all of our lives sitting here. But many people, I think music's one of the best excuses to travel, if you want to call it an excuse. I can remember even in college at Penn State taking like a road trip to not that far to Long Island to see Pearl Jam because they were just playing that night and we got tickets. So we drove, we went to the show, we stayed up all night and drove back. It was just like a great excuse to take a road trip and you could see one of your favorite bands. And that's dating me a little bit, I suppose. But why go to a music festival though? I mean, you guys have, first of all, how many festivals have you guys been to?
Oh boy.
Any clue? I mean, I think you can't even count them, but I mean, if you could ballpark it.
I'd say a couple dozen.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be like hundreds or anything, but we've done a couple dozen, and we've really, in the last few years, dedicated a good portion of our year to going to festivals.
Yeah.
So we've expanded our horizons since starting this website.
Right. Music festivals have always been a big part of our lives, but they used to be, kind of maybe a once in a year, like let's take our one summer vacation to do a music festival. And as we've developed Festy, GoNuts and decided that this was something we really wanted to pour ourselves into, now in the last few years, we've really just been...
Or maybe we developed Festy, GoNuts so we could go to more music festivals.
Well, I mean, that's a great lesson, actually, because I've seen you guys since, you launched the site, and then you're all of a sudden you're like getting free tickets to festivals, and that's what you do because it's what you're doing professionally. But I always encourage people, if they have an interest and they want to start a business around it, like worst comes to worst, you're still going to probably get some perks out of that. Having a travel site and a podcast, I can write off my travels and my taxes and things like that.
Exactly.
So you guys are maybe pulling that same card a little bit with the music festival scene. But if you think about it, like a typical music festival is what, like 3 to 4 days? Is that right?
Yeah.
Extended weekends usually, but
Okay.
they do range. I mean, we've been to longer ones and shorter ones, but I think your typical music festival is usually going to be 2.5 days of music, I would say, because you're very often going to have like maybe if it's a Friday and a Saturday that are packed with maybe a short day on Sunday when people might choose to stay or go home, but it really varies. I mean, the format's evolving so much as music festivals are becoming like a much larger entity in the world.
But if you think about that, so, say you've been to, a couple dozen or whatever. So what you're basically saying is that you've spent like 2 to 3 months living at music festivals.
Right.
Essentially, which is a ton of experience. And that's why I wanted to bring you guys on for this Music Festival 101 episode, because there's a lot more to this than just showing up and seeing music. I mean, it's like anything with travel, I think. And to make the experience better, you kind of want to have a little more education around it, which I wanted to bring you guys on because I think one of the toughest things is, first of all, deciding what festival to go to. And because you guys also are like hardcore travelers, that's another reason I wanted to have you on. You've lived in Central America and South America. Where did you guys live down there?
We lived in Ecuador for almost a year, and we were in Guatemala for 3 months, Honduras for 3 months.
Few points in between here and there.
Yeah. So
spent a lot of time outside of the country for sure.
You've done a lot of the traveling and the adventure stuff around the festival, which is something you talk about a lot. So it's not just the music; it's also you guys have figured out a way to turn that into like a comprehensive trip, I guess you could say, when it comes to some of these destinations. And I know when you guys are at festivals, people are like, well, how are you like staying here for this long? What are you doing? And we're going to talk a little bit about how to combine those two things. But first of all, let's talk about like some of the different festivals out there, because when we say music festivals, people think about probably Coachella and Bonnaroo, at least in the States. If you're in Europe, they're probably thinking about what's the one in Denmark called? There's a big one in Denmark every year. I guess like the name's totally slipping from me, but you know, these big massive festivals with major headliners, but those aren't generally Glastonbury. Like these aren't generally the types of festivals you guys go to. And I know you're in a particular music scene, but I don't know. It really opened my eyes because since I started hanging out with you guys, I've heard about all sorts of cool little festivals that just sound like really fun places to go. So talk to us about like the big festival experience versus like the smaller festivals, and how do you find out about some of the smaller ones that might be like a match for your musical tastes?
I think it's an incredible time right now for people that are fans of music and music festivals, because I think, you know, when we started going to festivals, there was a few good choices, but now as it's gotten at music festivals kind of used to be a thing, like kind of the Woodstock thing, you know, it's like, all right, this big hippie festival where people go camp and it was kind of like a hippie type thing. And now it's like all genres have music festivals, all types of people. It's not just like your hardcore hippie campers that are going to music festivals anymore. Like anybody can go do a weekend getaway and find something that they like, probably not too far from their house, as music festivals are just growing all over the place.
Yeah, and I think they're even getting a little competitive in the sense that they're offering so much more than just the music. So you really can source out a music festival, if you just want to go in your backyard, or if you really want to take a road trip to a state you've never been to, a country you've never visited, or if you want to do it by, you know, the size or the venue or the activities that are involved. And, you know, there's other things besides the list of bands that are going to be at the festival now. And I think festivals are really making this an inclusive weekend that, you know, has activities. It's got different stages. It's got different attributes to it that makes it incredibly unique and makes you want to come back next year. And of course, the band lineup helps.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's one of the big takeaways that I think I want people to learn from this show is that when you decide on a music festival you want to go to, you are matching the experience you want to have also outside of just the music experience. So for example, when my wife and I went on our honeymoon, we wanted to have like a travel experience that was a mix of like doing nature-based activities. We did a road trip in Colorado, but we also wanted to go see music. So we went to the Telluride Bluegrass Festival and we wanted to hang out with you guys because you were going to be there. So we wanted to have a mix of things. So we had like our own sort of road trip, and then we hit these hot springs. We did some hiking along the way. Then we got to the festival where we could do like the camping thing and hang out with friends. But we, you know, nobody probably wants to hang out with friends on their honeymoon all the time because you're in your honeymoon. But at the festival, we were able to like hang out with you guys, but also the Telluride Bluegrass Festival is right in town. So we could go like have a nice dinner if we wanted. We could go have a shower if we wanted. We weren't like in the middle of the woods with like a bunch of grungy porta potties and nowhere to go. And it was our honeymoon. So, I mean, we didn't want that, but you can have that experience. Yeah. And, you know, it also like sort of fit in with everything else we wanted to do. So, you know, I wanted to get your advice on like, first of all, maybe some personal examples where you guys have done that. And like, how does somebody go about finding and then selecting some festivals based on like their interests?
Well, and you know what you talked about, Telluride is a great example that there are so many different options out there. There are the grungy, hippie, dirty camping festivals, which are awesome. We still do that, but you know, we're not in our 20s anymore, and we like the comforts sometimes too. So there are other festivals. For example, again, with Leftover Salmon, but this following weekend, we're going to a festival that's going to be 3 days at the historic Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado, where it is a music festival, but we're all staying in hotels and condos and you know, wining and dining at the Stanley Hotel.
Right.
There are options. I mean, how to go finding them and picking them, well, I mean, first of all, look at festygonuts.com and we'll show you where they are. But also, it's see what you want. I mean, do you want a camping adventure? Do you want to visit a new town or a new state, or like, do you want to travel far? Like, I'd say, the people you're going to the festival with, sit down and decide what you want to get out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we did a similar thing for our honeymoon. We also went to a music festival in the Ozark Mountains because we love the Ozark Mountains. And how often do you...
Arkansas?
Right.
Yeah.
So how often do you get to go to Arkansas?
Right. In that case, was it more of a matter of the location where you're like, oh yeah, this is going to be cool, but also we've never been here before, so let's just...
Well, we had been there before, and it had been a while. The timing was perfect, so it was a fall festival, which, we got married in the beginning of October, and this fell 2 weeks later. So we made a road trip out of it. We hadn't been to Asheville, North Carolina before. We hadn't been to Nashville and Memphis in a while, so we just kind of made a road trip out of it and got to visit some cities that we hadn't been to in a while. So we got to have that urban sort of fun honeymoon adventure.
Yeah.
Went camping for a few days in the mountains during the fall, and then got to make the trek back. So we made a 2-week adventure out of it.
Nice.
And made it really fun. And it was some part of the country you may not always conveniently traverse, but that's what made it fun. Was it wasn't convenient. We had to go out of our way for it.
Right.
There are resources online. There are lots of websites. Jambase usually has a lot of festivals listed. You may even find like REI or certain like outdoor lifestyle brands that will list festivals, because they're even starting to get into that world of wanting to promote their products that are good at festivals. So there's a lot of music websites out there.
Jambase, the big resource.
Jambase is a big one, yeah.
Jambase is a great resource for any
I've been
music.
on Polestar to find, I don't know if you've ever been on Polestar.com. I don't know if they're around. Just to cross-reference, like if I'm traveling and I'm in a city, like, let me see if anybody's playing here at this time. It sounds like Jambase does the same thing.
Yeah, and Jambase is, absolutely great for looking at concerts in your area when you're traveling, but they do just have a section for festivals too.
Yeah.
So, and you can, on Jambase, you can kind of click geographic regions. So if you have an idea, like I want to go to a music festival, but I also want to take a vacation in the Pacific Northwest.
Oh, cool.
See what's going on up there.
Yeah.
Or just search close to home if you just are looking for a weekend getaway within an hour or two. But I definitely recommend them as an awesome resource for all things music, really.
And I would say Facebook events. Like our event page on Festy GoNuts we add everyone's events or festivals to our event page.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just an ongoing calendar that you can refer to. And I know other pages do it too. So Facebook is always a good resource.
And you guys are good for, we listen to a lot of like bluegrass or jam bands and different music like that. Maybe you're not posting the hardcore metal festivals there.
Right.
If somebody out there is like a metalhead, would Jambase have those types of...
Jambase would pretty much, their name implies they go more towards jammy stuff.
Right,
but when they and for the concerts, I think they do. But when it comes to festivals, I think they pretty much just cover it all.
Okay. So have you guys been to a big festival, by the way, like Bonnaroo or one of those?
We haven't been to Bonnaroo. The biggest festival I've ever been to was the first festival I ever went to, which was, it was called the Great Went, and it was a fish festival, fish with a P. Up in
Jason's favorite band.
One of them. It was upstate New York, and this is back in this was a long time ago. I think it was like 97 maybe.
Oh, 1900.
Yeah, it was in the 1900s, way back in the 1900s. But that was actually my first camping music festival. Yeah. And when I look back on that, holy crap, I was so unprepared. I mean, I didn't even have a tent. We brought nothing. Like it was a mess. But I mean, I fell in love. There was about probably, I think, 80,000 people at that festival.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so for my first one, talk about getting thrown in head first, 80,000 people. I went prepared with absolutely nothing. Shared like a 2-person tent with 2 other people, and like ended up sleeping in the car half of the time. But the experience just blew me away back then. It was just like I couldn't believe that for 3 days, 80,000 people could come together and set up a city and all just live together in wonderful harmony for 3 days, but yeah, so that's the biggest festival I've ever done.
Yeah, we've kind of scaled it down. I mean, we did Wakarusa when it was in Kansas, and then it moved to Arkansas. I guess we liked a festival in Arkansas. And that was that was definitely bigger. Probably 20,000 plus people.
Yeah.
And that was years ago. And that's kind of how we got into going to music festivals together.
Yeah.
And then since then, we've kind of scaled it down. We like to go to the smaller festivals. We appreciate the family that we have at smaller festivals, the intimacy you get with your camping buddies. And
Yeah, let's talk about the scene a little bit. And then I want to ask about money and maybe some money saving tactics.
I'm not giving you any money for this.
Darn it! Because before this airs, I need to get that direct deposit. No, I mean, what is the scene like there? I mean, I know, but I mean, I know based on limited experience, but I'm sure every festival has a different vibe. But there does seem to be this built-in community, which is one of the great things about festivals, because you can kind of seems like you're running into a lot of the same people, and I mean you're sharing a lot of things together while you're there, actual, not just the experience, but it sounds like people actually sharing drinks and bringing things for each other. What is
Absolutely.
it like? What should people expect?
I think a first time festival goer will be blown away by the kindness and generosity of people at music festivals. And if you aren't, I suggest you find a different music festival.
Right. That's good advice.
I think it's, some of our best friends that we've made over the years are because they camp next to us at a music festival, and it's just a matter of setting up a tent. But now you're sharing a space with someone, so it's sharing beers with them. It's making extra pasta salad and sharing it with them. It's bringing extra shade and extra chairs, and you create this little neighborhood in your camping space. And sometimes that neighborhood, that team, that community comes back year after year and continues to grow, and you stay in that same camp spot and that same campground, and you build a new family. And sometimes you see those family members at other festivals around the country, which makes it really cool, or outside of the country, and that's, we call them our fest friends. And they've become our best friends. They're, people that we've become acquaintances with through music festivals, and now best friends with, down the road. So
when you cross over and get to hang out with your fest friends out in the real world, it's always a lot of fun too, because and this is something I'm sure we might get into, but when you're at a festival, it's not the real world.
Yeah.
And it's a different version, an alternative version of the real world.
An alternate reality.
Yeah, which is incredible. But then when you take your fest friends out in the real world, then I think that's something always cool too, because it's now we're actual, we're real friends out here.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, it is, you get a closeness, a bond with people, and maybe it's the simple fact of something that you don't do in the real world. How often do you brush your teeth next to your other friends? It's that's something at a festival you might do, standing outside your tent together.
Yeah.
It's little things like that just gives you a bond with these folks, and you share in this intimate experience of these people that were there with you for 3 days, 2 days, whatever. You will always have that experience together. That's a special thing for just the folks that were there. And then on the microcosm, the people that are camped around you, you have that experience too.
You're sharing the fact that you guys love to go see live music, and you're comfortable being outdoors and, or indoors. You're not always camping, but the shows are normally outdoors. So you're just sharing this experience together. So you already have something in common.
Yeah.
You're there for the same reason. So then you can build upon that. So you're automatically finding people that you're connected to.
Yeah. When I went to the Telluride Bluegrass Festival with you guys, I was putting together a Bloody Mary bar, and I was like, well, we'll just be cool to make a Bloody Mary bar for everybody, for example. So I remember setting it up, and I had not had the camping festival experience. I'd been to Coachella, but I was touring as a tour manager with a band at the time. So we were getting to do the whole backstage thing, and it was a much different experience than somebody else would be having. It was awesome, but that's because we were getting all the
You're hanging out
VIP
with Beyonce and Snoop
yeah,
Dogg.
totally hanging out with Beyonce, tearing it up or whatever. But no, that was cool, and that was my first festival experience, big festival experience. But I would say it wasn't the experience, because it's not the typical experience that most people get to have. So the festival I was at with you guys the Telluride Bluegrass Festival was our first like camping festival experience. And when I put the Bloody Mary bar out, and I just remember I did it like the first morning, and I just was like talking to like, hey guys, come make yourself a Bloody Mary or whatever. And it was just such a cool like gateway to friendship, I guess, and like conversation. And, you know, everybody was sharing stuff with us and we were sharing stuff with them. And it was just, I don't know.
It's a community.
It's a community.
It's a community.
And that's a great idea, to bring something that you can share with your neighbors. And we always try and bring something like that, like a special beverage. We made a whole bunch of breakfast burritos one year. And, you know, so you can cook them up and share them with your neighbors. Our neighbors at Delfest last year brought a bunch of extra bottles of French champagne, and we toasted as soon as we all had kind of set up camp. They came over, invited us over, and we all popped champagne and toasted the festival getting kicked off. So there's little things you can do to immediately meet your neighbors, start hanging out, because that's who you're going to be with for the next few days, and hopefully they're awesome.
Totally. You mentioned earlier making some big mistakes when you went to your first festival. You're like, oh, I really screwed up. So what are like the common mistakes, I guess, or maybe just the personal mistakes that you made that you would recommend people don't make? Or, you know, what are some of the things that
not preparing enough for your comfort for 3 days. So as I learned that very first one, it was like, we'll find a place to sleep, whatever. Somebody said they had an extra tent. I mean, we had no rain gear. This is being prepared is the best thing you can. Being prepared for everything, very much weather-wise, but just all kinds of situations. And part of like what we like to do is to help people learn how to be prepared for festivals, because it's going to change your experience. You want to worry about listening to music and having fun. You don't want to worry about, staying dry and being comfortable in your tent. And I mean, you want that to happen, but you don't want to worry about it.
Yeah.
You want to be prepared so you don't have to worry about that. And I think that's one of the mistakes, is people don't come prepared with the right gear, the right equipment. One of the biggest things is water. People don't come prepared. Every festival is different, and the biggest things you have to do is look at the festival website and find out what is being supplied. Like, I've been to music festivals where they do not supply drinking water.
Really?
Yeah.
That seems like that should be illegal.
Well, it depends on the location.
It
seems that way, right? I mean, that's not an ideal situation, but it's no big deal whatsoever.
I think our first Wakarusa, we had to bring in our own water.
Yeah. Or it could be a far trek to fill it. It's not a big deal if you're prepared.
Yeah.
If you're I looked at the website.
Bring jugs of water.
It says bring jugs of water. I bring jugs of water. No big deal.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of stuff that's the mistake people make, is not doing. You got to do a little homework before you go to a music festival. And every festival we've been to has a list of FAQs on their website. They've got a list of what to bring, what's provided, what's not.
What not to bring.
Right. So festival rules are always going to change. Some festivals, you can't bring outside beer. Some festivals, you have to bring outside beer.
Yeah.
Know the rules.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, know the rules of every festival. You're going to have a much better time if you know the rules and you come prepared based on, what do I need to bring to make this the best time it could be?
Yeah, that's great advice, because I would just assume probably that there'll be drinking water, for example.
But even if there is, then how far is it from your campsite? If it's right next to your campsite, then you could get away with a little, Nalgene. If it's 3/4 of a mile from your campsite, you might want to bring a wagon and a couple 5-gallon containers. So you only have to make that trek once or twice.
Totally.
So, yeah.
You guys are a couple, but one idea that like a buddy of mine does when he's preparing for like an adventure, like a bicycle tour with a friend, for example, is they'll make like a Google spreadsheet and list out like what each of them is bringing. So it's like a shared sheet. So they both know they don't bring double of one thing and like not enough of something else, or completely forget something. So I think that's, just general travel advice too. If you're coordinating with somebody that's not like your spouse or somebody you live with, then you can use like a Google Doc to track everything that each other's bring, so you don't forget anything.
Yeah. Think about, especially if you're a camper or you've gone camping a lot and you're camping there. Treat it like it's still a camping experience. Sure, you might be going beyond that with the music festival, but don't assume everything's at your fingertips. Like, bring toilet paper, bring your baby wipes, bring anything you need to keep yourself comfortable, because they probably won't have a little shop somewhere nearby you can just run out and grab stuff.
Baby wipes. Man,
The
that's what
ultimate
they're like. Are they
camping
like
supply.
the lifesaver of all travelers in every
Absolutely.
situation? I mean,
I believe you may have told me the nickname that I always use for them now still.
butt treats.
Butt treats.
Most importantly to me, they're feet treats. If you're out walking around in flip flops and your feet get really dirty, I do not want that funk in my tent at night.
Yeah.
So
I take a baby wipe shower just
Yeah.
about every night before
Yeah.
I get into
I
the
have a
sleeping
pretty
bag,
serious
yeah.
routine with cleaning my feet off before I get into my bed. Have my clean zone.
Nice.
Be prepared to get dirty. It's a festival.
Yeah. Well, we talked a bit about the music. We talked a bit about the culture. I want to talk about the adventure around it because you guys have multiple times, like basically made it into a whole trip. Like you said, outside of the festival, you did this pretty recently in Mexico, right? Obviously, like people that listen to the show, they're into saving money on travel. Like a lot of people, not everybody's into that, but we are.
Right.
So I was just wondering if you guys could give some advice around planning like an adventure around the festival, like maybe some examples of how you guys have done it and then how you can do it in like a budget conscious way.
I mean,
That's a big question. I know. I mean, there's a lot to cover.
Well, I mean,
but-
your story about your honeymoon is a perfect example too. I mean, it's a music festival is a awesome thing to go do for. There's a festival this weekend. Okay, that's great. Let's go to the festival. But if you have the ability to be like, hey, let's take a 2-week vacation this summer, road trip, and throw a music festival into the middle of it.
Yeah. For Jason's birthday a couple years ago, we were on the road for work. We had off the weekend after his birthday, and we wanted to do something fun. So we just found a music festival that would be in the area where we were going to be for work.
once again, an excuse just
An
to go on a
excuse
trip.
to do it. But that's a good way to
Yeah.
budget it. I mean, our trip's getting paid for because of the job. And so we're just going to park the tour vehicle, our promotional vehicle, and rent a car and go to the festival and then come back and onward with work.
Yeah.
We've been house sitting in Oregon before, and on the way back, decided to go a little out of our way up to the gorge in Washington to go to a festival.
So kind of working it into your itinerary.
Yeah,
I
working
mean, you guys
into
are on the road. Not
Yeah.
everybody has that. But if you're traveling from point A to B.
Yeah, if you already have to go back to visit your parents in Pennsylvania, which we've
Right.
had to do, why not,
Work in a festival
find
on
a
the way.
festival for the
Or, like,
weekend? Yeah.
Make it that, like plan your time around the festival. So if you're going to go somewhere, like make it kind of work with your itinerary.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
and
I
that's
mean,
true because you are saving quite a bit if you're not going out of your way to get if it's just something that's on the way
Right,
where
right.
you're going.
Well, at music festivals, I mean, it is an expense. They range in cost. I mean, we've been to festivals, that are as cheap as, $90, $60 for a weekend, or, $300, $400, $500 or more. But still, you can do it affordably at the festival. Like, bring your own food, bring your own, if you're allowed, bring your own drinks and things like that. So where you're still not going to spend as much as you might on, if you want to take the family to the beach for the week. Like, it's still not going to be a vacation of that cost.
Right.
So if you find it and can work a vacation, it's a great starting point to be like, okay, we want to take a camping vacation in, North Carolina in July. Well, let's see if there's a music festival that we can throw in the middle of that.
And you already have your camping gear with you and
Right.
everything.
Right.
So.
And now you're not paying for a hotel room. I mean, that's pretty much your ticket. So if you're camping there, you can find stuff within that same budget.
And then on the other flip side, so the Mexico one that you mentioned, that's Strings and Soul is one of our favorites, and that's expensive. I mean, that's not a cheap festival. It's a music festival at an all-inclusive resort in Mexico.
Right.
So that's kind of the opposite. You're dropping all this money on the festival. You're like, well, if I'm already dropping $3,000 for the two of us to go to a music festival in Mexico, then why not hang out in Mexico and kind of spread that cost, because we know how to travel affordably in Mexico.
Yeah.
So kind of dilute the cost of that music festival over several more weeks of a Mexican vacation. And if you do look, there's destination festivals popping up all over the world right now.
Jam Cruise is another one on a cruise ship.
Yep.
Most of the ones that we're familiar with are put on by a company called Cloud9 Productions.
Okay. They probably have a lot of festivals listed on their website.
They do.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and they go to the Dominican Republic, they go to Mexico, they do cruise festivals, and yeah. But the cool thing about them is that as far as I know, for most of their festivals, you can be on a payment plan. So you don't have to come up with all that money right up front. You can make payments on it throughout the year. So it can be a little bit more accessible to you without needing a big chunk of money right then. Because you typically do need to make the decision pretty early in the year. Tickets for a lot of these sell out pretty quickly. But if you're able to put that deposit down and then spread the costs out throughout the year, and take the time to buy tickets that are affordable, airplane tickets that are affordable, you can make it happen.
Yeah, that was one of the things I wasn't so aware of, I think, in the beginning, that you could really run the gamut from like dirty hippie camping, as you guys have been saying, quote unquote, to like being in an all-inclusive resort in Mexico. Like that was one thing that kind of got me excited. We love music, but like if you are able to like match your experience, or the experience you want to have with the festival, it sounds like that's totally possible. I mean, you can go to a festival in the middle of nowhere, you can stay at a luxury resort, you can be camping, you can be on a cruise ship, or you could go into a town like Telluride where there's stuff to do right in town and the festival's right there. So if you're a music lover or you just like enjoy live music, then there's plenty out there for you.
And I think you get that perception of like the Bonnaroos and stuff where people think it's just like it's hundreds of thousands of people. It's like a frat party with music for 8 days. It's sure there is that, but we go to things where, I mean, the age range is all over the place and the comfort level is all over the place. Like you said, from camping to dirty hippies to all-inclusive resorts.
To bringing your RV. I mean, a lot of festivals, you're allowed to bring an RV and a camper and set up and have water and air conditioning right there at your campsite.
Do you know of any ways to get free festival tickets or to get in for free, like outside of what you guys have done through your business? Because like one time, I don't know how I got on this list or found out about it, but U2 was coming to Denver, and like somehow I was like asked to clean up, like if I was part of this crew that cleaned up trash in the beginning, then we could get into the show for free, like in the front row. So we walked around for like 45 minutes and like just cleaned up some recycling, and we actually told people, we encourage people to recycle, and then they let us in the show for free. I was like, this is the best deal ever.
The first time we went to Northwest String Summit, which is in Oregon, we didn't have any money, but we really wanted to go. That's when we were house sitting out in Oregon that summer. And we found out you could volunteer. So you volunteer. They gave you a couple shifts during the event. I think we had 3 4-hour shifts. This was years ago, so I think it's totally different now. Look into the details, but and in exchange, we got free tickets.
Nice.
So, I mean, volunteering is an easy way.
Volunteering, and there's a couple ways to volunteer too. So volunteering at the festival, and like Kelly said, it's different for, every festival is different, but most of them have some sort of program. So volunteering where you would work shifts at the festival. Street team, which means like before the festival, you are helping to promote that festival. Maybe if you live in an area where they'd like to try to get attendees from, they might send you posters and flyers to go hand them out. But these would be things that the festival would have on their website. You contact them and see. And then there's also partners that other groups or organizations that may have a presence at the festival, from anything from food vendors. A lot of food vendors will just bring in staff in exchange for tickets. So you get a free ticket to go work for a vendor, or like Black Spy Marketing. That's one, right?
Yeah, they create street teams. They're a local Colorado company, and for shows and for some festivals, they create street teams and in exchange for free tickets. And there's also like the cleanup crews, like you were talking about with U2. So a lot of, and you'll see people at festivals standing in front of the recycling cans to kind of direct people on which is compost, which is trash, which is recycling. A lot of those people are probably volunteers that got free tickets to go to the show.
That's amazing. I mean,
there's a lot of
we just taught you how to get into a music festival for free. I mean, you guys, that's awesome.
Without just cutting the fence out and going somewhere.
Not saying you've never done that before, right? Or maybe you have. I don't know. Do you carry wire cutters? Is that one of the essential tools?
Very essential.
I can say honestly, I've never snuck into a music festival.
No, but if I was going to sneak into a music festival, I would do it the respectable way by parachuting it.
Yeah,
Nice.
Then you belong.
All right, so just one more time, let's go over those things. You mentioned the street teams. How would you find out about those opportunities?
I'd start by looking at the music festival's website.
Okay.
Go directly there, see if they're accepting volunteer
The festival itself or the
applications.
production company?
I'd go to the festival itself.
Okay,
Yeah.
and is that where you can usually find out about the volunteer opportunities?
Yeah.
It's
And then
listed
they may
somewhere?
link to another company
Okay.
that they're using as an outside source that will also give away free tickets.
Yeah, the recycling is very often it's an outside company, but the festival should direct you to
Right.
them. And then usually these festivals will have a list of their vendors. So if it's appropriate and available, you could just contact some of these vendors yourself and say, "Hey, are you hiring for this festival?"
Okay, so you can find the vendor list on the website and then just
Typically,
reach out to them
yeah.
directly.
Yeah. And the cool part is if you don't want to deal with trash, if that's something not interested to you, I mean, if the festival is allowing volunteers, we got to wristband people on their way in. So we had a really good time standing in the security line as cars were driving in, and we were handing out wristbands and greeting people as they first came to the festival, and then checking wristbands as people go into the show. So you get to high five people and welcome, have
that's
fun at the
cool.
show tonight. You're part of the team. So.
Right. Yeah, and in my experience, I mean, you're not going to watch every single band for 3 days. So if you're, volunteering for 4 hours, you're
Yeah.
probably going to be taking 4 hours off
Yeah.
somewhere.
And we
anyway.
met
So it's
some of our best friends ever doing that. We had our own volunteer camping
Right,
section,
yeah.
and these
Nice.
people had it dialed in. Had gone to this festival for years, so we got good tips from them and met a new family.
And you're not working for, you're not working for the man. I mean, it's a music festival. Everyone's there to have a good time. Chances are, if you sign up for to volunteer, and the volunteer coordinators, you tell them your favorite band that you're there to see, there's a good chance they're going to work around you. I mean, sure, if there's one main headline, if Pearl Jam's the headliner at the festival and everybody wants to see Pearl Jam, maybe some people might have to miss them, but chances are they're
You
going to
think
work
this is
around
the
your schedule.
1900s?
I mean, I'm just,
as an example.
hey,
All right, so
Pearl Jam's
last thing.
still relevant.
Ticket resources, obviously buying it directly on the festival page, but if you want to go to a festival and it's sold out, the resale market, but I know you guys have some resources where there's some sort of ethical, I guess,
Yeah.
trading, or
Yeah.
how does that work? Where would people go if they're looking to get tickets to a festival? Would you recommend, first of all, if they're looking to get tickets, just to go directly to the festival site first?
If it's not sold out, absolutely. Buy them from the festival.
Okay.
That's where
Yeah.
you want to get your tickets.
And I think an important fact there is pay attention to the release dates for tickets. Another really good way to save money is that most festivals have tier pricing.
Oh.
So you'll get an early bird pass for maybe up to $100 cheaper than the final sale.
Okay. Yeah.
So get it early, especially, I mean, you may not even know the full lineup, but go check out the website, buy it early, and then keep an eye on the dates because it's going to increase every little bit. And they may have 3 or 4 tiers of pricing.
Yeah,
Wow,
and then
okay.
most of these festivals are also doing a good job of setting up their own Facebook event pages, and you get in on those, and that's where a lot of people will, because of these tiered ticket pricing, people will buy tickets super early. I mean, we're talking months and months and months before the festival. Then something comes up and they can't go. So people will resell their tickets. I think the Facebook event pages are a great spot where you can just buy them directly from a consumer. We're not scalpers. We're just other people just trying to get their money back. Most people
Always be honest. Never sell your ticket for more than you paid.
Yeah. And then there's an awesome resource that we like to use called Cash or Trade, where it's
Cashortrade.com.
cashortrade.com or .org. I'm sorry.
.org.
.org.
We'll link up to it in the show notes.
Okay, yeah. And that is basically, it's just people selling tickets to people. No added prices in there.
They've basically agreed that it's,
Face
we're not
value.
going to rip it. Face
Right.
value. We're not going to
It's
rip
face
anybody
value
off.
tickets,
This is
yeah.
this is all about community. It's all about,
Absolutely. Yeah.
Amazing. I mean, we've got a massive amount of resources I think we've covered in this show. And I mean, I know we could talk about this for hours, but any major points missing and some of the core advice? Because then I want to ask you just a couple questions about, I don't know. We'll see where it goes.
Well, you kind of
Got a couple
touched on
ideas.
something there when Kelly was talking about the tiers, and we wrote a blog about trying to decide whether or not to buy or not to buy tickets to a music festival. And I mean, obviously, we're music festival junkies, so we like are always going to err on the side of buy. But because of these tiered options and because most music festivals that in our experience do end up selling out, I say just go for it. If you're on the fence about a music festival, buy the tickets. And then first of all, if you have the tickets in hand, you're going to like make it happen if you really want it to happen. You already bought the tickets. And if you can't, there's so many resources for you to resell them. Like we said, Cash or Trade or get on these groups or Craigslist, whatever. Just you can get rid of these tickets if you can't make the festival. But I always say buy them. Buy the tickets now, figure it out later.
I love it. I say the same thing about plane tickets.
Yeah. Like, should I or shouldn't I? You should. Because a music festival is always a good idea. So just buy them and figure it out.
Yeah, and if you want more advice or to read that article, go to FestyGoNuts.com. You guys buy so many tickets and you have so many festivals going on that, like, even just this morning after breakfast, you're like, oh, we have some tickets we have to sell because we got to go on the road. Like you're like losing track of all the shows you're going to.
Well, you get really excited,
funny. But
man.
just pull the trigger is what we're saying. All right, so I would be remiss if I didn't ask you a couple favorite type questions, even though I freaking hate these questions. People are, what's your favorite country? But like, how do you pick your favorite? It's not fair. It's totally subjective, but I'm going to do it anyway. What are your couple of your favorite festivals and then venues?
Well, festivals, it's kind of funny. Festival and venue is going to land on one of the same for me, but it's String Summit, Northwest String Summit. It's been going on for now, about 15 years.
I think this is year 18 or 19.
It's a bluegrass festival. Used to be, Yonder Mountain String Band is still one of the headliners, and traditionally that was like their festival, but it's just grown and grown and grown, and it's one of the ones that, there's new people going all the time, but there's also people that have been there every year. And it's a family festival. When I say family festival, I mean two things. I mean, everybody there is family. I mean, that is one where it's like, you just leave your cooler open. If somebody wants a beer, they take it. And if it's just such a community. And then it's also a family festival because it is really family friendly. There's they have this huge kids area.
This is something we didn't talk about. This is an important point, actually, like the fact that people that have kids out there or want to have kids but don't want to give up the music festival experience. Like in my experience at Telluride, that was totally kids. There are tons of kids and families there and stuff outside of the regular festival goers.
Most of them are. I'm sure there's some, EDM festivals that maybe might not. Is that right? And it might not be, but even them. There could be, and I think that's one that a festival website would really tell you.
Don't discount it if you have kids.
And I think it's typically that's kind of an FAQ on the website of the particular music festival. They would probably address that, but in our experience, they're almost all kid friendly.
A lot of places have kids activity tents. They've got, kids camping, family camping set up. You're closer to the porta pots. It's in a quiet zone. So a lot of festivals make accommodations for children.
Okay.
Yeah. But that String Summit it's got everything. It's for everybody, all ages. Of course you kind of have to like bluegrass music, but even if you don't, the environment so that's kind of been one of my favorites, and we are really, really hoping we get back to that this year, actually.
Nice. Yeah. How about venue?
I love the Ozark Mountains, and I love being able to go to Mulberry Mountain. That was one of our first music festivals.
Is that the name of the festival, Mulberry Mountain?
That's the name of the venue.
Okay.
Yep. That's where we went for our honeymoon. It is.
So it's got like a personal connection.
Yeah. It's gorgeous. The Ozarks, especially in the fall, are just beautiful. And it's a beautiful drive up there. You're just surrounded. You're on the top of a mountain. And it's a great kind of backwards little area, but it's fun and beautiful.
And it's kind of another good point, though, is when we talked about the things to look for in a festival. The location, the venue is really important. Sure, it's all about the music and there's going to be tents and stages and everything, but you could be out in like a parking lot field in the middle of nowhere, or you could be on top of a mountain in the Ozarks.
Right.
And it does, I've been to both. That fish festival I talked about, that was on an abandoned Air Force base. It was like a flat desert. It was still amazing,
right?
But had we been in the woods of the Ozarks, it might have been a different experience.
Right.
So
like in that way, I guess you could say at least in my opinion, like if you're going more for the experience, then go with like the venue. You know, the music's
Right.
kind of secondary. If it's
Yeah.
like your all-time favorite band, you're not going to really care where you're seeing them.
Right.
So
But there's a good chance that same band's playing at multiple festivals throughout the year.
So pick the one with the nice-
Pick the one with the waterfall hike, maybe.
yeah, totally. All right, I'm going to ask you one more question. It's kind of a tough one. What is one experience you can share that defines what music festivals mean to you?
Go ahead.
Well, I got one. We were at Delfest this year, and Delfest is a festival built around Del McCoury and the McCoury family is a legend of bluegrass and Americana music. But it's grown into a huge festival in Montgomery County, or Cumberland, Maryland. About 30,000 people there. We one night just kind of gathered up a group of people and decided to go out looking for a ruckus in the swamp. There was kind of a swamp there in the woods, and it got
I don't know what that means. A ruckus in the swamp.
Well, we decided that
Like a monster that comes out with seaweed on its
you
head?
know,
or-
we thought we
Creating a
heard some.
ruckus.
We thought we heard some
Late night.
music. It was late night. We thought there was people in the music that. So music festivals a lot after the stage is closed. Then in the campground, people are just playing their own music with instruments and having their own parties. And we went out looking for one, and we're like, let's go find a ruckus in the swamp. It was swampy because it had been rainy and muddy. Our group kind of grew. People started joining on with us. They're like, what are you doing? We're like, looking for a ruckus in the swamp. And as we'd go from campfire to campfire, looking for it, people were like, what are you doing? Like, looking for a ruckus in the swamp. Eventually, we found out we were the swamp ruckus. And we had this whole group that people started joining with us, walking around and we didn't know these people a half hour ago. And by an hour later, we had this amazing experience and memory with these people that were strangers an hour
Yeah.
ago.
I had a Facebook message from a girl that found us from a different event that we're going to. And she just messaged me and was like, I finally found you. I've been looking for you since the ruckus.
But, I mean,
I'm like, all right,
that
thanks.
embodied it for me because it was like, first of all, music festivals, one of my favorite things we didn't talk about, was like we said, is the extracurricular entertainment.
Yeah.
People just jamming around campfires, if campfires are allowed.
The parties
The,
and
yeah,
the
the parties
campsites
out there. It was the community where we just had strangers that we bonded with and created this incredible memory and experience that we're never going to forget, that we were the Swamp Ruckus. It's everything you love about a music festival.
Yeah.
It's like right there walking through the woods in Delfest.
Yeah.
It's interesting that the story you shared had really nothing to do with the music.
Right.
And that just says it all in a way. Like, it's so much more than just seeing some
Absolutely,
bands.
yeah. I have several experiences I could tell about. Though one of my favorites is the festival we went to for Jason's birthday, that we ended up at Blue Ox Music Festival in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Totally random, and just like we said, worked out because of the dates. And a lot of our favorite bands were there, so it was perfect. But before we went to the festival, we found out an old friend of ours that we actually met traveling through Guatemala was going to be there. And so she was like, yeah, let me get you set up in this Facebook group. It's a bunch of our friends. These are like our old buddies. Well, it turns out the camp that we were going to be staying with, this guy was the son of the man that owned the whole festival campground.
Okay.
So we had a pretty sweet little location, but with a big group of people and lots of this group that knew each other from Wisconsin, from Colorado, and from Oregon was kind of like their connecting points. Probably about 50 of us. And they just welcomed us with open arms. We knew one girl there, and that was it. And
they were a group. They were a group of 50 people that were like lifelong best friends.
Right. Yeah, we infiltrated this group, and they embraced us, and we became such good friends with them. And then we didn't really see any of them until the following year at Blue Ox, but it wasn't even a question whether we were going to camp with them again. Of course we were going to camp with them again. We were part of their Blue Ox group now.
Right.
And it was so telling of the festival friends that you make. It's not this like one-time occurrence. It's, you're bonded for life. And the fact that we saw them again and got to be part of their camp again and go in early and stay late and have dinner with them. And it was a really special experience, and it makes that festival even more special to me because of those memories.
if you have never been to a music festival, or if you haven't been for a while after listening to this show, you're probably clamoring to go to another one, like maybe even jumping online right now to search for tickets, which it sounds like Jason and Kelly are going to be encouraging you to do that. They're not going to be discouraging you from doing that. So if you are online, or when you get back online to check out anything related to music festivals, go to FestyGoNuts.com. Is there anything else that you guys want to share in terms of like where people can find you and stuff like that?
Yeah, we have a Facebook page as well, and we also are on Instagram.
Okay. And I think you guys have some really useful giveaways on your site. So if you pop an email in there, you won't be disappointed. FestyGoNuts.com. Guys, are we going to make a ruckus in Boulder tonight?
Yeah,
it's quite possible. And just have to throw this in here. If people haven't heard of Leftover Salmon, they describe themselves as polyethnic Cajun slam dance music.
Okay.
So,
Slam grass. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Well, that's the show we're going to tonight. So maybe I'll have to whip out the smartphone, take a little audio, and share it here at the end of the show. And if we ever bring the rap band together again, I'll be certain to let you know. We'll drop some tracks right here on the podcast. I don't think that's happening. Jason and Kelly, I love you guys. You know that. Thanks for hosting me here in Boulder. I'm going back to Norway tomorrow at the time of this recording, but you will be sorely missed. And I really appreciate you coming on to share, just drop some knowledge on music festivals and give us the 101. Just dropping. Are you just dropping the mic right now, or the record? Don't drop my recorder.
Yeah.
I don't want to buy a new one. But
we're super excited to get on the podcast.
Oh, well,
awesome! Long time listener, first time guest.
Well, since you guys are in person here, we should high five it out because that's always fun. And I know we're going to have you back on for a couple other music oriented type of segments. So stay tuned for those, as you guys are my go-to for live music and travel when it comes to travel around live music and festivals and all that sort of stuff. So check them out, FestyGoNuts.com. Thank you guys so much for all the good times, and look forward to the show tonight, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks.
Cheers.
There you go. Thank you to my friends Jason and Kelly over at Festy GoNuts for stopping by the show. Of course, hope this was some inspiration, perhaps motivation to get out and check out some music this summer season. Before I let you go, got to leave you with a quote from Bob Marley about music, who said, "One good thing about music, when it hits you, you feel no pain." Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time. Peace and love to you and yours. Cheers.
This podcast has been brought to you by ZeroToTravel.com. Ideas and advice to make your travel dreams a reality.